Hello everyone, welcome to Roma Theory. The Morata situation continues, and now Di Marzio's also here talking about Renato Sanchez. Now look, something needs to happen, and I don't want to sound too repetitive here, but something needs to happen because this transfer delay, I hope, and there's something which we're going to touch on today. But I really hope this transfer delay ends because we need a striker. We desperately need a striker. We are leaving for Portugal this Saturday. We are playing yet another friendly game this Friday, and we still don't have a main striker. That is unacceptable. So we need to get a striker in as soon as possible. And the Morata situation continues and all of that. But also, I'm also here speaking about Renato Sanchez because Di Marzio has announced yesterday evening that Roma's priority is, when it comes to covering that box-to-box mid is Renato Sanchez. Now, what is going on? How on earth can we prioritize a player who has barely ever played last season? Getting Renato Sanchez is yet another confirmation that we love spending useless money. Because getting Renato Sanchez is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I don't want Renato Sanchez. Renato Sanchez is a great football player in terms of football capacities and what he can do. He's a baller when it comes to that, and I am nobody to turn it down. But his fitness levels, why do we want a player who's missed 70% of the season with PSG? It makes no sense to me, especially when we are coming from a season where injuries have been a main problem. You see, it's like not being able to complete a puzzle. Renato Sanchez is a great football player. I have nothing against that. I think he would bring a lot to this team. But why are we interested in a player who is made of glass? Is it the birthday party of some medical staff in our training ground? Because the only reason I can see this signing happen is if we want to gift him to one of our doctors. I just don't get this. I just don't get this. There are better options than Sanchez, and to be honest with you, they're even cheaper. Dominguez from Bologna is a baller, and I'd rather get him than Sanchez every day of the week. Every day of the week. Because we need players who are ready to play. Sanchez is not ready to play. He is too injury prone. We don't need these players. Renato Sanchez, don't get me wrong, he can come and prove me absolutely wrong, meaning that we completely wash away his terrible past of injuries, just like we did with Smalling. And if we do that, then we have an incredible player. But we are not guaranteed to do that. We are in a situation where we sign him. How do we know if he's going to miss 70% of games or not? So if we really want Sanchez, and if Sanchez really is the priority in our midfielder, we need to evaluate him very, very well. Because we've seen it with many players in these past years. We've seen it when Monchi bought Pastore from PSG. We've seen it with Wijnaldum. We've seen it with many of these players who look incredible players when you read their names out loud, but when they actually come, they are washed players who are always injured. So what I'm trying to say here is, I would like to repeat that I've not got a problem with Sanchez as a player. Sanchez as a player is the player we need. It's the fitness which worries me. So what I really want Pinto to do before actually ending the Sanchez deal, because according to Angelo Mangiante, we could end this deal soon if PSG open up the loans. But okay, that's fine. If we really want him, if at the end of the day, if the manager really wants him, I back him. But before getting a player like Sanchez, we need to learn from our mistakes, because I am getting insane Pastore Wijnaldum vibes here, especially not just because he's coming from PSG, but because he's a player which was great a few years ago, has been destroyed by injuries. So before getting him, we have to evaluate his physical condition and his fitness levels very, very well. If that means going to France, going to Paris, and actually paying for Renato Sanchez to undergo for some medicals, do that. Because I don't want to risk this. I really don't. And it's not like Sanchez is going to be a cheap operation. You know, buying Sanchez is not cheap. Even if we get him on loan, PSG are probably going to accept the loan with obligation, meaning that we will have to give them the money back at the end of the season. And to be fair, when you negotiate with teams like PSG, they probably will force you to pay quite a lot of money. We already, I mean, you can clearly see this by the way we're acting in this transfer window. We are the last team in a ranking when it comes to money spent. We are last. We haven't spent one single euro in this transfer window yet. That isn't necessarily a negative thing, because we've got Ndika and Aouar as free agents. But obviously we will have to spend money, and we will have to, you know, dig into our pockets and get some money out. But that's not what I fear. What I fear is this deal could turn into a very expensive deal, even if it's a loan with obligation. So we have to be very, very careful when it comes to, you know, what we actually want to do with him. At the end of the day, if the manager wants him, I want him. If the manager wants him, I back the manager's decision. But this is a risky decision, and it's a lie to say that this isn't a risky decision. Because if you've been following PSG lately, you will know that Sanchez missed 70% of games last season. So this is a risk. It is a risk. And it would be, as I just said, it would be a lie for anyone here to not call this a risk. Because this is a very big risk. It's one of those gambles which could go very, very well if he turns like Smalling, meaning that his injuries gets washed away. Or it's a signing which could turn into Wijnaldum or Pastore or what's his name? The French guy which we got with Monchi a few years ago, Gonalon. It has the potentials of becoming any of the two. Anyways, when it comes to the midfielder, we're done. Let's move on to the striker, because the striker is the priority. I find it unacceptable that we still have not found a striker. I find it unacceptable that we still haven't, you know, digged in our pocket to get some money for a striker. Because, you see, shut up. What is this phone in the background? Forget it. It's probably them trying to sell me some things. I don't want them. We need a striker. And we need to spend money on a striker. Now, the market of midfielders... let me close the door. The market of midfielders is very, very different from the market of strikers. Because you can find free agent midfielders, and we've seen it with Kamada, I don't know why we're not interested in him, and all of this. We will not find free agent strikers which are free to join in a team which doesn't play Champions League. So I want, and I know the Fredkins aren't going to watch this, but to get a striker, we need to spend money. Because the market of midfielders and strikers is different. It is different. We will have to end up digging in our pocket and getting some money out. Because I understand that we've got FFP against us, but so does Milan have got FFP against us. And I know Milan, look, you can't compare the two situations, because Milan got 80 million from Tonali, so obviously they've got a transfer budget. But Milan, Inter are all teams which are affected by FFP as well. Now I know that our budget is smaller than theirs. It is. They play the Champions League. They've got more money than us. They are better at selling players. They've got more players which are interested by other teams. They've got better players that suit this window, the market. We've got players which we can't sell. So I understand that we have difficulties and that we've got millions of debts to cover. But we have to spend money on strikers. And look, the update now is this. The Morata deal is not done. Anybody who says the Morata deal is over is wrong, because the Morata deal is not over. Inter had a meeting with Morata's agents today and they got the same impressions as us. The costs are too high and they are going to find new players. This is the update confirmed by Di Marzio. Check his Twitter, check his Instagram. So right now we're in a situation where Inter have kind of pulled away from the race to sign Morata. We've basically taken time to reflect on this. As I just said, this doesn't mean that we are done with Morata. Pinto, after yesterday's meeting, understood and got the impression that signing Morata will be expensive. And for a player who's 30 years old with a team who's not playing the Champions League and is covered by debts, it will take a financial sacrifice. So Thiago Pinto took 24 to 48 hours to talk with the Fredkins. And if the Fredkins accept the fact that we have to take a financial sacrifice to sign Morata, and if the Fredkins give the green light to Pinto to give the money to Atletico Madrid, Morata will become a new Roma player very, very soon. And we will know by max tomorrow. So we could be saying that we are now back leading the race for Morata after Inter's updates this afternoon. But we still have to spend money to get Morata. Morata's not going to happen on loan. Forget about Morata happening on loan. He's already a player which Atletico Madrid are not forced to sell. So obviously we're going to have to pay for it. The thing is, and I'm going to say this again, I've said it yesterday and I'm going to say it again. Get Morata done now. There will be people here which don't like Morata at all. And there will be people here which love Morata a lot. My take on this is this. If we do not get Morata, first of all, time is going to keep on ticking. And we still have no main striker. Second of all, if we don't get Morata and West Ham don't open up for a loan move, we are fucked. And third of all, Morata is the best striker we will get as a team which doesn't play the Champions League. So get Morata right now. And you see, we had to end this deal yesterday. We took time to reflect on this deal, which I fully understand, because paying 21 million plus all of the wages, this will probably be an operation which around the total will be around 40 million. For a player who's 30 years old, requires sacrifices. And I understand that we've took a reflection time to do this. But now is the time to knock on the door. Especially now that Inter have kind of withdrawn from the race. We need Morata. We need, Roma fans who criticize Morata and know that we aren't in the Champions League and know that we have so many difficulties in selling players because of what Monchi left a few years ago. If you add all of these factors combined, Morata is an A-star class signing. And Roma fans are saying, oh, Morata's not good enough, I expect better signings. Those fans deserve Kalinic level signings. Because getting Morata for a non-Champions League team who is covered of depths and can't sell players is a masterclass of a signing. But obviously, if we get Morata right now, we will then be forced to kind of reaccumulate that financial sacrifice, and we will need to sell players. Something which right now we cannot do, because it's not like nobody is interested in our players, but nobody is interested in spending the amount of money that we are forced to ask for these players. We will not be able to sell Shomurodov. We will not be able to sell Villar. because nobody wants these players and nobody will spend money for these players. The only player which we will end up selling, in my opinion, is Ibanez. And to be fair, sell Ibanez. Sell it, because we need to overcome these obstacles and we need money. And as much as we might regret selling Ibanez, we are in a situation where we either sacrifice a player like Ibanez or we are not going to get the players we want. Obviously, I'm going to follow the second option because we already got Ndika. And Ibanez isn't like prime Sergio Ramos. I can live in without Ibanez in my team. That's the situation. The situation is this. The situation is this. Every single time we think about spending money on a player, we have to think about making that money back. It's a mess. It is a mess. But unfortunately, we are stuck in this mess. And unfortunately, we will need to overcome this mess because, as I just said, to get strikers, we need to spend money. So, again, I don't know what happens. I feel like by tomorrow we will know the Fredkins' response to this. By tomorrow we will know if the Fredkins want to take this financial sacrifice and sign Morata or not. If we don't sign Morata, then according to the logics, we're probably going to go all in Scamacca. If West Ham don't open up for a loan move, I really worried to see who we will buy. Because if we go from one day wanting to get both Morata and Scamacca to another day not buying none of them, that's terrible. So yeah, and to be honest with you, if we don't sign any of these two players, who do we sign? Who do we sign? Considering that, as I just said, we don't play in the Champions League, and as we've clearly seen it, we are having so many difficulties in spending money. Who do we sign? Have we thought about that? Have we thought about who we could potentially replace Morata and Scamacca with? I don't know. I really don't know what's happening, but we gotta get a striker soon. I'm gonna end this stream on a wishful thought. By the way, there's quite a lot of you in, so please don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe if you're new. If everybody can take 2 seconds to smash the like button, Morata will come. How about that? No, but what I'm trying to say is, my wishful thought is this: the Fredkins have always kept everything secret. So I struggle to believe that all of these journalists really know what is actually happening between us and Morata. I wouldn't be surprised if we pull this Morata deal in 5 minutes, because that is what the Fredkins do. However, and there's always that working behind the scenes. They could be working on this Morata deal now. They could. The real thing is, they could. The Fredkins could be calling Atletico Madrid now and go, right, we're ready to pay the 20 million release clause. They can do that because we've seen this happen. And that is my wishful thought. My wishful thought on this Morata situation is that maybe they are working something up behind the scenes. Maybe, because again, Morata is a specific request from Mourinho. All of those Mourinho fans, which are part of this community, which don't like Morata, well, he's a specific request from Mourinho. If we don't get long story short, if we don't get Morata, Mourinho's going to be pissed. So to try and unlock this Morata deal, I can only imagine the pressure that Jose is going to put on the board to take this financial sacrifice and get it done. And it could be done. And we have to exploit this moment because Di Marzio has confirmed that Inter are at time of speaking, out of the Morata race because they retain it too high. This is the moment we have to exploit. Do it now. Take that financial sacrifice because we need Morata. We desperately need Morata. Anyways, what about Kolo Muani? Kolo Muani's like 70 million, mate. We're having difficulties in paying 20 million for Morata. How can we ever imagine? How can we ever imagine paying 70 million for Kolo Muani? Same with Boulaye Dia. Boulaye Dia's release clause is even more expensive than Atletico Madrid. I don't know. I really don't know what's gonna happen. But yeah, let's read some comments. Scamacca on loan to buy. Dominguez from Bologna, young and talented. If we sell Ibanez, then we can afford some good attacking midfielder like Baldanzi. I agree. I think Dominguez has to be a priority over Renato Sanchez. Loazi says Renato Sanchez is a gamble. I mean, it is a gamble. I fully agree. It is a gamble. Thiago Pinto ain't the guy to do this. No matter what people say, how on earth did we lose Fratesi to Inter? If Sanchez comes, it's on a loan. We are low on money, which is why we are looking around for imperfect options. People want Sanchez. People don't want Sanchez. We should get Kamada on free. Shomurodov is underrated in this team. He will leave soon. Yeah, he can leave. Thank God he can leave. Terrible player. Striker is the priority. What's unacceptable is that Pinto didn't know what Morata's release clause was until July the 17th. That's completely unacceptable to me. Yeah, but that's to be fair, that's because the release clause changed and secretly changed when Morata renewed his contract. And Morata's renewal of contract happened like 1 week ago. So what I've been told, that this mystery of the release clause is because there's something secretly signed when he renewed that contract which shifted the release clause. Would you rather have Sabitzer or Sanchez? If it wasn't for injuries, Sanchez. I'd still choose Sanchez over Sabitzer. I don't like Sabitzer. I'd still choose Sanchez because there's always that gamble that maybe he comes here and he's not injury prone anymore. And if that's the case, he's a beast. The problem with I love Sanchez as a player. It's just his fitness. Scamacca just scored for West Ham in pre-season. Yeah, I mean, if they don't open up on loan, it's not going to happen. Roma's a stingy club, only propaganda. You two should stop posting fake information all the time. Kiss my ass. Kiss my fucking ass. Stop with the caps. If you want to make sure your comment gets read above, send a super chat, you cheap punks. If Shomurodov wants to score, he needs to go to Serie C. I can't believe people said Shomurodov is underrated. Like, if Shomurodov is underrated, what are we supposed to do if we sign Morata? Are we supposed to, like, blow the Colosseum apart? Yeah, right. I'm gonna catch you. Tomorrow. I think, as I just said, in the next 24 to 46 hours, we will know what our answer is. We will know what our answer on Morata is, and we will also see if we are continuing to prioritize Renato Sanchez in the middle. But we'll see what happens. You know, conceding me a little worry because we still haven't signed a striker, and we need it. I'm at that stage where I really don't care who we sign as a striker because we just need one. But yeah, gonna catch you tomorrow. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Please do it. There's quite a lot of you in. Support this community a lot. And I'm gonna catch you soon. Simo, out.